Okay, well, thanks again for joining today's webinar. We've got people joining, but we're going to get going. This webinar is being recorded, and we will put a copy on our YouTube channel. So if you have any questions, please write them in the chat and questions window, and we'll get to them at the end. And we will have both PowerPoint and live application. So again, my name is Adam Sandman. Welcome to today's webinar, Alternatives to Legacy Technical Solutions, specifically around the MicroFocus toolset. Formerly known as the HPE or Mercury Interactive toolset, and I believe soon to be OpenText. So let's look at today's agenda. I'm going to go a little bit overview into the industry and what we're seeing as changes in the market. I'm then going to introduce the company for those who don't know us and our products. And then I'm going to go through a brief set of slides about the feature set of our SpiraPlan product, our Rapise test automation product. And then the last piece of the puzzle, of course, is load testing, which would be the load runner for MicroFocus. And we have a couple of options we're going to talk about, JMeter and Octoperf. I'll then talk about the transition plan if you are looking to move to our platform from the MicroFocus tools. And then I've got a short set of live demos of both SpiraPlan and Rapise. They are relatively short demos. If you like what you see today, you can schedule a more in-depth demo with one of our account managers as well. And then we'll have time for Q&A. So let's get going. First of all, what are we seeing in the industry? And again, these are just what we're hearing from customers and partners and also from the various conferences we attend. But there are some basic trends we've seen. So as you know, one of our major partner/competitors is Atlassian. We integrate our products with theirs. We also do compete with them in some of the features. But either way, we are seeing a backlash amongst some user communities, not everyone, obviously, because they've discontinued the on-premise solution. Jira servers going away, Confluence servers going away. Many customers are moving to the cloud. Many of our customers move to the cloud, but there are some customers in certain industries, principally, aerospace, defense, banking and finance, and life sciences and healthcare, but others as well, where for a variety of reasons, compliance, regulatory, or just in the case of certain systems by law, they can't go into the public cloud or even a private cloud. And so the fact that the functionality is being removed means they are looking for alternatives very actively. And we are getting significant inquiries every day from companies in those domains looking for alternatives. The second large group are the companies that have used the MicroFocus, formerly HPE, formerly Quality Center, Mercury tool sets, or the IBM, it was called Rational, Team Concert, it was Doors, a lot of the older IBM tools that they've sold on to HCL and other companies. Again, companies looking for alternatives because those are no longer really being actively maintained or developed, looking for alternatives. And so those are two big disruptors that we've seen that have been sending people for demos. And today's webinar is about number two, but also we are seeing inquiries for the others as well. We also hear from customers that they're tired of using Jira with a bunch of plugins like X-Ray or Zephyr, which don't work so well. And so they're looking for alternatives. And then also there's been another move, which is interesting, which is that Microsoft is strategically repositioning itself to use GitHub as its primary SDLC solution. So all of the GitHub Actions, issue tracking, project management functionality is intended to ultimately replace Microsoft Azure DevOps. And some clients are looking to the future, and GitHub will have certain things that ADO does not have, and vice versa. And there are some holes in I believe, what GitHub is going to offer. And so our platform actually offers integration seamlessly with GitHub already. And so quite a few customers are looking for us to use Inflectra's platform with GitHub. Separate from what the companies are doing, what we're also hearing is there's major challenges in terms of software security, both from securing the actual endpoints, but also security around the code and around the process. So quality has become a much higher concern. When we talk about DevOps, continuous integration, continuous development, continuous deployment, that's increasing. People are moving to the cloud, but also we're looking for more compliance, more security, and more certainty around that. So we're seeing a greater need for risk management, quality management, test management, some things that people I think thought with Agile weren't necessary anymore. They became more important. And then obviously we're seeing a lot of these legacy players go away, new entrants coming, people looking at tools like Monday.com, Asana, ClickUp as more lightweight project management tools, and looking for ALM solutions that actually integrate with those. And then lastly, risk management has gone from being a minority niche concern to something that's much more mainstream. So these are some of the things that we're seeing, and we're using that obviously to inform our development roadmap. Another thing that's not on here is also the move towards different forms of scaled agile, and how do you scale agile, both using safe but also other types of scaling as well. Just we do have an independent review company, Infotech. They do a lot of software reviews and interviews with customers and non-customers, just people in the industry. And they have these two quadrants they've published, the ALM quadrant and the software testing quadrant. And we are a leader in both those quadrants. And you can see how we do stack up to the other tools. So if you are looking to move from, say, HPALM, which is again part of this talk, you can see that ALM is significantly lower in the ALM quadrant than us, and in the software testing quadrant than us as well. And UFT, I don't believe is even on the quadrant. So people looking for more modern alternatives to the ALM tool set and the UFT tool set. So before we get into a bit about the different tools and how they compare to the MicroFocus tools and how you can migrate, just an overview of the company. So Inflectra, we've been around for about 16 years. So for those who know us, welcome back. And for those who are new, I'd like to welcome you to the company. We have really a strong company culture, and these are our core values. So I want to talk about these first because they are really important to us. The number one is that we have been around for 16 years. We've built great products, and we continue to build great products, and we build them for you, not for investors. So the company actually has not taken any private money, any investment money, or any public money. So the company can therefore make its software for users. So we can make the software for you, not for investors or other people. Now, the other thing is, not only is it the software that's important that we build for you, but it's also the team behind it. So the team, if you work with us, people who've worked with us both in pre-sales and post-sales will say, you work with us, you get a very seamless experience. Our pre-sales account team are there to help you get the job done, help you to understand how our tools work, solve problems, work with our support team. You get answers right away. You have unlimited support. Basically, we want to eliminate as much as possible drama, red tape, and bureaucracy. You need a quote, you'll get it same day, have a support ticket, answer the same day. Whether it's pre-sales, post-sales, support, or customer service, in general, we're here for you. We want to get it done. So we try and be as transparent as possible with our users, whether it's pricing, whether it's support. Every aspect of the company is about reducing the friction between you and us. How do we help you as seamlessly as possible? And one of the ways we do that is keeping the company together. We have the same team we've had from the beginning. We've had very little turnover, which means that we are working with the same people you may have worked with. That continuity helps us build great products. And one of the ways we do that is by having this great flexible company culture where people are ahead of the curve before the pandemic. We've had people with great benefits, easy time off. If you need to take time to do something, deal with a family issue, all this stuff's part of our company culture. And the other thing that's really important is we are looking to help people get into technology. So we look to increase the access to talent. So people who maybe didn't go through traditional university, people who want to get into technology, become programmers, testers. We have opportunities and programs in place to help people get into the industry. And we've even worked with communities outside of our area in Argentina and places, helping them become better software testers. So we as a company are really committed to developers, testers, our users from a holistic standpoint. And if you work with us, we hope you'll find that. This is a quick slide that shows you end-to-end what we're capable of, everything from requirements management, QA, risk management, software development, project management, test automation, program management, ITSM, process automation, exploratory testing, manual testing, automated integrated testing, and agile and DevOps. Everything in that range is what we're about. That's our wheelhouse. We integrate with a bunch of other tools for things that we don't do as well. So if you're looking for load testing, that's not here. Obviously, we'll talk about that. We integrate with some really good options for load testing as well. Here's a quick overview of some of our customers. These slides and the recording will be available, but if you want to just grab any notes of ones you might be interested in, we've got these are our customers in North America, segmented by industry. Similarly, in Europe by industry as well. And then also for the rest of the world, we've done it by region. So these are outside of North America and outside of Europe. These are some of our customers done by country and region. Great. So how are we different? We've talked about the company, but what about the products and how is our design philosophy different? So the first thing is we believe in the idea of harmony, bringing the different communities together, people using our tools for different objectives, different teams. We're all about how do we make things work better together, easier together, and more collaborative. And that manifests itself in three different ways. Firstly, across disciplines. Secondly, through simplicity. And thirdly, across ecosystems. Across disciplines, if you look at our product suite, and we'll talk about that in a bit more detail, we try and hit the different user communities. We're not just building tools for testers. We're not just building tools for project managers. What we find is teams are most effective when people work together. So the person who's working in testing an application should ideally be able to work in a harmonic way with someone who's doing development, writing the code. The project manager needs all the information in real time to know how the team is doing, what's their velocity, what changes do they need to make the team work better. And what we find is if you build a software tool that's really great for developers, it often doesn't consider the need of the testers. And how many times have testers been told you have to use this tool, it doesn't work for you, but well, that's all we've got. And so we don't want to build tools that just satisfy one vertical slice of our community. We want tools that work across them all. So we have tools that do help business analysts, testers, automation engineers, designers, project managers, program managers, developers, DevOps people managing the IT infrastructure, all those different disciplines. We want to make sure that our functionality is harmonious and useful for you. Second thing is simplicity. We want our software to work in a way that it takes less time setting it up. We don't want you to spend 2 weeks configuring it and 2 weeks installing plugins and then another week training everyone. We want it to be so easy to use that when you first set the system up, it's got major workflows set up for you. It's got all the fields you need. It's got all the different modules you need. You can use what you need, ignore what you don't, and all of the defaults make sense. So you can turn it on and within 2 days be fully up and running across a team. And so that's how we designed it. And the third thing is we recognize that you are working with different teams with different technologies. They might be using Atlassian, they might be using GitHub, might be using GitLab, might be using some open source tools. We've got integration across these different ecosystems, and we build those integrations. And more importantly, we support them. So if you have questions, you're not left hanging looking at some public forum. Our support team is here to help you. Now, let's talk about MicroFocus and the alternative. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on MicroFocus. They have their tools. People are using them in the industry, but people are looking for alternatives. They come to us and other companies as well. And what we're offering is the Spira Team platform and the SpiraPlan platform, which I'll talk about. SpiraPlan is the extension of Spira Team. We have Rapise for test automation. So we're able to basically cover the ALM quadrant, the UFT quadrant, and then for the load testing piece, which is Load Runner, if you're using MicroFocus, we have two options based on JMeter. We have JMeter itself, and then we have a partner that we're working with called Octoperf that actually is an extension of JMeter. And so this is a seamless platform that can be used to replace your current tools. And how does it all fit together? Well, like this. So basically, you can use our products, the Spira Test Team or Plan platform. We've got Spira Test and Spira Team and Spira Plan, different flavors. They can work to replace the ALM. All of it is managed in Spira. And then we use the remote launch tool to connect to JMeter, and then we have our Rapise automation tool, which is on top of Spira and does the test automation. All the data basically sits inside of Spira and is used by the other tools. So Spira is your central repository of test results, requirements, and so on. Now let's talk about Spira first. Spira contains all of the functionality you may be used to in ALM, so requirements management, test management, defect tracking, test configuration management, all of the testing QA, plus the requirements and the bug tracking. That's actually all in effect in Spira Test, but SpiraPlan is much more than that. It also offers all of the planning and board functionality and all of the Scrum, Kanban, and Scaled Agile functionality you would need. It includes also a DevOps and resource tracking modules, and also includes project and program management. So it basically combines all the functionality in traditional ALM, ALM Octane, and also the PPM tools that MicroFocus also offers. So with SpiraPlan, you've got a replacement for all those tools. Now, if you just want to replace traditional ALM, you might want to look at our Spira Test version. If you're looking to replace ALM and ALM Octane, or you were looking at ALM Octane, Spira Team can replace both of those. It's the same combined, and then SpiraPlan replaces all of those, plus it includes the additional program and portfolio management and risk management functionality. And we'll be focusing more on SpiraPlan today, and I'll be showing you a live version of it. So the question is, why would you switch? One is obviously cost, but there are some more important reasons, I think. Firstly, SpiraPlan uses a fast, modern user interface. It runs on all the major browsers, not just IE. Doesn't require any ActiveX. Runs on Mac, Windows, Linux, phones. It can run on a tablet, iOS, Android, any modern browser, basically on any device, mobile or full screen. So whatever device you have, you can use SpiraPlan. As I mentioned, our philosophy of simplicity. You don't need a dedicated admin. You can sign up for the trial, get the URL if you're using our cloud version, and you can be up and running in 10 minutes. Literally, get the URL, start logging in, start creating requirements, start adding projects. It comes with all the fields you need, all the workflows are built in. You can obviously customize it, but you don't have to day one. Third one, it is cross-browser. So whatever your team wants to use, whether it's Chrome, Safari, Opera, Edge, we don't do IE anymore, and Firefox, all the mobile browsers fully supported. Number 4, agile planning. If you've got a tool to manage testing and QA and requirements, you don't need to get a separate agile planning tool. You can, of course, use it right away to do that as well. And when you start to scale the product up to across large numbers of projects, you quickly realize you need a way to manage them and group them and be able to report across them and categorize them. So SpiraPlan does have powerful program and portfolio management as well. For those teams that are looking to do DevOps and continuous integration and tie their agile teams into the same system, we do have integrated source code management. You can either use our free cloud-based Git repository called TaraVault, or if you're already using GitLab, GitHub, Bitbucket, or any other Git-based repository, you can hook that up just as easily. And going back to our concept of harmony across ecosystems, it is an open platform. You can integrate any automation tool you like. So again, if you don't like the automation tool I'm going to show you later on, or you already have one, or using an open source tool like Selenium or Cypress, you can integrate those tools really easy into Spira. Easy admin, much easier than ALM. No VBA scripting. There's one easy to use admin interface. It's fully integrated. There's no separate site admin. There's no separate databases to manage. Much easier. People who had a dedicated ALM admin, they typically find that when they go to SpiraPlan, they don't need that dedicated admin. They have a part-time person who maybe provisions users, does some basic sysadmin functions. Everything else can be delegated to the project teams. There's also some functionality which is not in ALM, for example, workflows and electronic signatures. So if you are going to use Spira in a highly regulated environment, you don't need to buy a third-party add-on for e-signatures. And then lastly, number 10, Spira is not something that we have bought from another company and are keeping on life support. Spira team, test, and plan are all being actively developed. There are new releases every month. If you go to our blog or our website, you'll see the new functionality coming on our roadmap. So it is actively being built and developed, and we're not trying to, get you to use a completely different tool like Octane, which is not the same tool. We are actively building and expanding and refactoring every month. And of course, there is a cost advantage as well. Now, the other tool we'll be talking about in detail is Rapise. Rapise is our intelligent test automation platform, and Rapise is a broad system. It can replace all the functionality in your UFT environment. It can do a lot of different things. So it can test, first of all, it can test web, desktop, mobile, and APIs using the same platform. So it's not like a tool for the web, a tool for desktop, a tool for ERP, a test for Oracle Forms, a test for SAP, it's one tool that can do all those platforms. So we can do most desktop apps. We can do Microsoft Dynamics. We've got special accelerators for Dynamics. Same thing with Salesforce. Same thing with certain flavors of SAP. Same thing for Oracle Forms. We've got connectors and libraries for all those different major platforms. Plus, we can do any web app. We can do any mobile app that runs on iOS or Android. We can handle physical devices. We can use virtual devices. You can use cloud devices like Source Labs or Browser Stack, whatever you're using, frankly. And then, of course, you've also got a built-in API testing system as well, whether that's to do API testing or to get data from APIs. Either way, there's a full-in API testing and integration agent built in. So why would you want to use Rapise over UFT? We'll show you the live application, and there's obviously a lot in this, but some of the key benefits would be a much more powerful object identification methodology is built in. It's much more advanced than the one in UFT. It also includes AI-based self-healing, so it will actually look for changes in your application, can identify changes that are not breaking, and suggest that this is still a passing test. So that way it doesn't require as much maintenance. It's completely scriptless out of the box, or codeless, whatever your favorite term is today, using our Rapise visual language. It does also support script-based testings, and you can mix and match. So your functional users, your business users can use the Rapise visual language, and then your technical automation engineers can extend that with script if they need, and they can work together on it. We don't charge by the plugin. So if you're going to do a test for browsers and web, you can do another test for a desktop app or a Java app or a Swing app. You don't need to buy 10 different plugins for us. Rapise contains the libraries for all of those in a single package. We also do use a modern language. We're using JavaScript and ECMA script as our primary scripting language for those who are doing a code-based scripting rather than VB script, which is pretty ancient these days. And then the other thing is we do have packages already available to deploy Rapise into CI pipelines. So if you're using ADO, GitLab, GitHub, Jenkins, whatever it is, we have some packages already. So it's already as a modern tool available to be used in your pipeline. And in fact, you can even use Rapise with Node.js and run it in a completely headless environment as well. And of course, there is a cost advantage as well. And we do bundle Rapise with Spira. So if you're looking at both tools, we can bundle them together for you. Now, in terms of the load testing piece, so we have a couple of options for load testing. We've partnered with both an open source tool, JMeter. JMeter is the open source by Apache, pretty much the standard for load testing. The advantage of JMeter, obviously, is it's free. You can integrate that with a SpiraTest using our tool Remote Launch. So we have a plugin for JMeter, and you basically can have JMeter installed on different hosts, and then you have SpiraTest organize the tests. You schedule them using the SpiraTest or SpiraTeam or SpiraPlan, and I'll use it interchangeably, the three Spiras. You can have the repository set up with the different tests. You can schedule them, and then SpiraTest will orchestrate the tests on the different machines running JMeter. So if you are, I guess, relatively technical and you're comfortable using JMeter, you can use JMeter, install it on your physical machines, virtual machines, your containers, whatever your environment is. You can deploy JMeter into that environment, and then SpiraTest just acts as the scheduler to launch those and run those. In addition, if on the other hand, you want that burden, all that infrastructure taken off your hands, we've also partnered with the company Octoperf, and they offer a cloud-based testing tool that is built on JMeter. So it's still JMeter behind the scenes, but you're not dealing with any of its complexity. It's really neat. It's a really simple to use tool. It's completely cloud-based with simple pricing. You can sign up online. You basically sign up, put in your URLs that you're going to test, sign up for the load generators, point at your URL, and it basically deploys all the cloud infrastructure to do the load testing, and it will basically test your app for you and send you the results. And so you don't have to deploy JMeter servers, VMs, containers, virtual machines, cloud machines, EC2, Azure, any of that stuff. It's all done for you. They take care of all the complexity. And we have a plugin for SpiraPlan or SpiraTeam or SpiraTest called Octoperf, and it's in our Spira app marketplace. It's a free plugin that we have, and when you connect it up, you'll see, as you can see on the screenshot, inside the Spira test case module or in the test set module, you will actually see a drop down where you can start a test scenario, launch the test results. It will fire off Octoperf. Octoperf will then begin the load test, and you can see here we've got a sample ramp up, but we're doing a load ramp up test. And then once it's done, the results come back into Spira. So that way you've got an integrated suite that contains Spira for your test management, requirements management. You've got Rapise for your functional testing, and you've got Octoperf for load testing. Or if you want to do it yourself, we do have JMeter as well. So you've got Octoperf, which is effectively a managed SaaS JMeter with a nice user interface, as you can see here. Or you can use raw JMeter as well. That's up to you. If your application is not on the internet, then obviously JMeter is probably the better tool. If your application is internet accessible, I would use Octoperf, frankly. So you like what you've seen? How do you migrate to our platform? Well, we have some tools to help with the migration. I'll show you those quickly. And those tools will actually help you do the migration. They're tools that simplify the migration. In addition to that, you might need assistance, maybe to do QA of the data. Maybe you don't have time to do the migration using our tools. So we do have migration assistance. These would either be Inflectra or partner people that we have available that can help you do the migration. We also have implementation service teams that can help you do things like configuration, suggest best practices, and just help you get up and running really easy. We also have training available through our partner network where we can do the standard curricula. We have online training available through our LMS system. And of course, you have live training, both in person and virtual, from our partners. And of course, underpinning all of this is the fact that when you sign up to be a customer of ours, you do have unlimited technical assistance from the Inflectra support team as well. So how would you migrate from ALM? Well, again, you can do this yourself using our migration tool. You can see it right here. It's a migration package. You install it, point it at ALM. Literally, you give it the name of the server, the login, the password, push a few buttons, and then it will migrate the entire project into ALM seamlessly. You can just literally push the button, get some coffee, watch it migrate, and come back. Easy as that. For obviously, if you want someone to come in there and then QA the data, do it for you, push the button for you, make sure that make sure maybe clean up ALM before you migrate the data. We've had some clients where the data in ALM was a bit messy. They wanted to do a bit of cleaning before they migrated it. We have partners that can help you with that process. Otherwise, you can do it yourself and just push a button. UFT, we have migration tools from pretty amazingly from UFT. Now, UFT is a bit trickier because obviously it's a automated testing tool and there's more pieces to it than there are. It's not just simply a database of requirements and tests, but we have migration tools that will migrate your existing scripts and object repositories and libraries over from UFT to Rapise. And this is an example of how it works. And the way the migration works is we have a couple of different pieces. So first of all, there's actually what we call team migration, which is even if you can migrate the scripts over, your team has to understand how to use the tool. So one of the things we've done is we've got a cheat sheet that helps people who are used to UFT understand how to use Rapise. And there are some similar concepts. We have an object repository. They have an object repository, modules, spies, object managers. There are some similar concepts we have, and we have a translation guide, a dictionary to help you understand Rapise if you're used to UFT. And you can see some examples there. And when we convert the script over, this is actually a script we've converted over. You can see right here, we create comments and we create a compatibility set of comments. So people who see it can see, look, we migrated this function over. Here's it now in Rapise. We added some comments because things maybe don't need it anymore, but we've actually added automated comments in there. So you see exactly how we converted it and why we converted it that way. Of course, we also do have training and assistance as well. So these are proven concepts, but they're now being implemented in a much newer technology. Here you can see on the top left, we're going from UFT Visual Basic to JavaScript or ECMA script in Rapise. And so for an existing project migration, what will actually happen is, behind the scenes is, we basically move the UFT objects over to the Rapise object repository. We convert any VBS, Visual Basic Script libraries, to equivalent JavaScript libraries. And then we move all of your test actions to Rapise scripts, and we move all of your test data over to Rapise test data grids. And this migration toolset is configurable. And it has been designed for large projects, and it does understand complex VBS actions and scripts. And of course, once you're up and running, we want to make sure that you know how to use the tools, because migrating everything over is not enough. We find that you need to also know how to use the tools and use them well. So we do have training and assistance as you need it. We explain how to use the tool, how to start using it. We can help you migrate your tests. We can help you improve your test coverage with other tests. And an important thing for us is we don't want training to end just with a certificate, but we want you to have a working set of tests, whether those are the manual tests from ALM or the automated tests from UFT. Now, before we get into the live demos, we do have a Rapise deep dive. I just want to quickly go over this. So just if you are looking at a comparison of UFT versus Rapise, we have the same set of libraries. We can cover all the apps that they can do. I think we can do some things they can't do and vice versa. So it's a 90% overlap. Again, if you have specific questions, you should reach out to our pre-sales team after the webinar, but we can cover most of the apps that you're doing with UFT today. And there are some apps that UFT can't do that we can already do. So definitely worth looking at. The technology benefits, I think one of the key things is that we use open formats. If you're used to tools like UFT and the generation they came from, like the old Borland tools or the Segway tools, they had very much a mindset of closed formats. We want you to use that tool, and the data has to live in that tool, and it shouldn't go anywhere else. We have the philosophy of harmony, as you know, and so we use deliberately very open standard industry formats. So Rapise uses JSON files, XML files, Excel spreadsheets behind the scenes, JavaScript. Everything is designed to be easily versioned in Git or other VCS control systems, and it's also easy to integrate that way. Everyone's using JavaScript, everyone's using JSON. There's nothing in there that's special. Every file that we're using, every format that we use is effectively a standard industry format. The second benefit is it makes everything very small. The app Rapise is actually quite small to install and download, but also the tests and the test assets are much smaller as well. And we version control these in Spira for you, or you can version control them in a standard Git repository. Another thing is we are using modern technologies, and we've designed our Rapise visual language to be highly extensible, easy to use, and something that a test analyst can understand. So this is something where someone who's writing the test doesn't have to be an automation engineer. They could be an accountant using SAP or Oracle Financials or Microsoft Dynamics, and they need to be able to write the tests. They can do a lot of the automation using recording, object learning, just composing rows in the spreadsheet. And then for more complex automation, the engineers can obviously use JavaScript to extend and augment that. And the other benefit, of course, is we're using JavaScript, which is one of the most popular languages around. We can use different scripting hosts, including Node.js, and it's compatible with other technologies that people are familiar with, like Selenium, Appium, and Cucumber. So if you're using Selenium or Appium, you've got a Selenium grid setup, you've got an Appium grid setup, you're using a cloud-based provider that like Source Labs or Browser Stack that's basically built on Selenium and Appium. You already have all the infrastructure you need, and Rapise just seamlessly drops into that ecosystem. And of course, as I mentioned, we do have pre-built packages for different CI and CD tools as well. So that's an overview at the PowerPoint level. So now I'm going to take a break from PowerPoint and actually go into the applications themselves. So let me get a presentation mode. We'll come back to that in a minute and give you a quick look at the different tools. Now, again, we are in today's webinar. I'm going to give you just a brief overview of the tools. A longer demo would be more exhaustive. So this is SpiraPlan right here. Just to mention, SpiraPlan is the full suite. So if you are looking at SpiraTest or SpiraTeam, those are cut down versions. So when you go to Spira, we have, first of all, in the menu, when you first come in, this is the navigation bar. Hold on. So someone just told me that the app is not in view. Hold on. Should be sharing entire screen. Okay, so just going to backtrack a second. So for those who didn't see the screen, sorry about that. We're back at the navigation bar. So just as I mentioned, in Spira, this is the main workspace editor. So you can see here all of the workspaces, and you can see the projects, which are equivalent to the ALM that I mentioned, ALM projects. And these are the programs that map to the ALM domains. And then we have the portfolio view, and we have the enterprise view. So you can see here that we have these different levels. So if you can come from the ALM world where you had projects and domains, we have products and programs. We also have portfolios and the enterprise. So I'll just go back down to, this is the dashboard that I was showing a bit earlier. This is the project level dashboard. So you can see here all the key metrics, the requirements test coverage, the progress over time. You can see the test progress by release. You can also see the counts, the traceability. This is the requirements. These are the number of defects for each one to see if you need to drill down. And you can see the defect information, including the defect counts. You can see that it's filtered by type, and you can see the count by status, and you can see it by priority. So that way you can see all of your defect metrics, requirement metrics, test metrics. You can also view a more general view of the project, see the risks and the tasks and the project management aspect. So test managers, you're probably working on the testing one. General one is more for the project managers. So whereas before you were getting more of a QA manager view, this view is going to show you for a project manager risks, the progress, which of my releases are on track, which are behind, how much of this completed? Do I have any late starting tasks, late finishing tasks? Do I want burn down? And that's all at the project level. And then you do have the same information, obviously, at the program level. So if I now go back up to the program level, we have the general view where you can see all the projects in the program, what's behind, what's on track. And then you've got a full focused testing view as well. And I'm just going to go back up to the enterprise view where I was a minute ago. And the enterprise view, that's going to show you the top-down macro view, all of my programs, all of my projects, all my portfolios, all in one view from the top to bottom. You can see what's behind, what's on track, and what the completion is. You can see all of your risks across the company. And then we do, as I mentioned, have this timeline view where you can see each of the different programs and portfolios. And you can then see for each one, what's the status. The progress bar goes from dark to light as you move along it. And if you drill down further, you can see under an individual product, you could see the releases, and if there are phases or sprints, you can see those as well. For example, let's look at this one here, which actually has, I think, a sample with sprints. Here you can see we've got sprint 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see which sprints are done, which sprints are not yet done, and what's the overall website completion. Now that's at the reporting side. If we now dive into the project level, compared to ALM, we do have this artifact menu, and this shows you all the functionality available. SpiraTest and Team have some of these features. SpiraPlan, our top level tool, has all of these features. So if you go into, let's say, requirements, this is going to give you the requirements view. This is similar to what you might see in ALM, requirements with test coverage, task progress, all of that's right here. We also have other views of the requirements, though. We have a board view. So if you're coming from like ALM Octane and you want to have a board, we do have a board view where you can see the backlog, you can see the sprint plan. This is the backlog by component. You can see it by parent. You can also see, let's look at release 1, and let's look at that by sprint. And you've got different views. You can see for each sprint what's in progress, what's not, and you can see that for each story. This is the requirement right here. You can see the 3 development tasks. You can see the 2 test cases. So you have on a board view the requirement, the stories, the features, you have the tasks and the test cases all in one view. And it will show you if you are on track or behind schedule, and then you can reassign items between the sprints to make sure you're correctly allocating. If you are using the Kanban functionality, we also do support work in progress limits. So you can track how many items are in each of these different swim lanes and make sure you're not overscheduling as well. So that's some of the agile views we have. If you're working on a more traditional requirements management or BA type of project, we do also have a document view. So you can see all the requirements in a document flavor. And we have a mind map view as well. So lots of different views of requirements. We also do have a full QA system. So coming from ALM, we have the same functionality around test cases, test sets. These are the test case lists right here. These are your test cases. All the test cases have the same functionality that you're familiar with, where you'd have the test case name. These are a mixture of standard and custom fields. We've got a built-in suspect flag. So if requirements change, but the test is out of date, we can catch that for you. You can also see the description with a rich text editor. And then here are my test steps. And you can have test links. So you can pass test cases one to the other. You can include reusable components in my test case. You've also got then test case automation. And this is where we would tie in either our automation tool, or you can tie in other test automation tools as well. And then to orchestrate the test cases, you'll use the test set module, and that's where you'll have all the test sets. And the test set is then going to be scheduled to run the test case on a certain date and time. So this will be an example of a manual test set. We've got some tests in progress. These are the tests here. We can see that one has failed. This one has passed. This is blocked. These are not yet run. If we drill down on a failure, we can see what happened, and hopefully it'll be something interesting. Here's the failure, and here you can see it. These 4 steps passed. This one failed. There's a nice screenshot, which you can see right here. That's why it failed. There's a 404 error. And we can click on a link, and we can then see the defect that was raised. And we can even click on the link. So let's go ahead and do that. And let's click on the link. Let's get rid of that. Click on that. And there's our defect right here. So the defect is linked and traceable back to the test result. In addition, this defect is also traceable to other things like source code, requirements, CI builds as well. So there's a full traceability module. You can also link this defect to any risks it might be associated with as well. But coming back to the test run, that's a nice manual run. If you also look in the test set functionality, we can also have automated tests. And I will be running an automated test later on with Rapise. But just to save time, I'm going to show you one I've previously run. So let's have a look here. And let's see if we've got a nice example. This is an automated run. This is a test case we ran from Rapise, our automation tool, and it ran. And if you can see it passed, look at that script, and we'll see a pass run. This is an automation script that ran. It ran on a certain machine. Here you can see the system did a bunch of, it logged in, it clicked, it checked to log in, and you can see we've got screenshot level capture coming automatically back from automation as it's running. So that's a sample of an automation running inside of Spira. So before we transition over to our automation tool, just to show you a few of the things that we have obviously the ability to schedule automated tests on different machines. That's done right here. You can see test data. We can manage test data in what's called test configurations. So we can actually manage test data right here. You can set up different pairwise sets, and that way you can have the same test set run through different logins, different browsers, different OSs, different passwords, different data sets. All that can be managed right here in Spira. And we can use that whether you're using our automation tool or using a different one. So if you are using a different automation tool like Selenium or another commercial tool, whatever it makes sense for you, all of the integrations that we have will support passing this test data to the automation tool in question. And then, of course, when the tests fail, they do log defects. We've seen that already in the defects section, as well as the defects. So just to quickly show you, we have a risk management module where you can track all the risks on the project. You can categorize the probability, the impact, and that gives you the exposure. And as well as that, when you then get defects that are logged, those will be logged here in the defect tracker. We can see grid views and we have board views. So all that's built into the system. And lastly, not so much from an ALM standpoint, but if you are coming from ALM Octane or other more agile tools, you might want to be looking at code and code management. We do a full integration. We have our own code management solution based on Git called TaraVault, or you can use GitLab or GitHub or any other Git provider, plug it right in. And that way you can track inside of Spira code level changes, and you can track the code changes. Like here's a nice difference view we have, and you can track back that code change so that, when a test fails and a defect is, logged, what code changed or what code didn't change. Maybe that defect shouldn't have been logged, or maybe that defect was fixed, but why is it still breaking? Or maybe because the code wasn't committed or was in the wrong branch, or the branch wasn't merged. So much of that wastes time. So much of that communication takes effort. We're trying to bring harmony here. So the great thing is your developers and testers can see exactly what code was deployed, what environment was it deployed on, which branch is it in, what test was run, what passed, what failed. It's all in one place. And then lastly, of course, you do have reporting. So we have a mixture of standard and customized reports. You can build out any graphs you want in the system. You can either use the graphs and charts that we provide, or you can write your own using our query engine, and you can generate documentation and traceability matrices all from Spira. So that's a quick 5-10 minute overview, and I apologize for those who weren't able to see the screen. And I could do a much larger demo of Spira. We have a team that can do that for you. So if you do like what you see, feel free to reach out to us, and we can certainly give you a focused demo, and we can listen to your specific needs and do a customized demo for you and your team. But moving on to the next tool, which is Rapise. This is our automation tool. And let me just make sure we're sharing this tool. I think, yeah, so we're good. So this is Rapise automation tool. It sits on the desktop and communicates with Spira. So it can be used completely independently from Spira, or it can be used together. In the case where it's with Spira, we're going to store all the data inside of Spira. Now, because of time, I don't want to, unfortunately, don't have a lot of time to show you a demo. I'm just going to do a very simple example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record a test and then show you how that, then play it back quickly. So all the tests in Spira, though, this is an example of one I recorded earlier. So before we do my current recording, let me just show you what it would look like. Here's a recording. We've recorded some actions and some steps. That builds out our object repository. So every object you interact with is on the left-hand side in the object repository right here. And then everything that you use appears in the right-hand side as a script. So the object repository are the things you interact with, and on the right is a scenario. That's what you're doing with them. So for example, there's a login button here on the left-hand side. That was an object on the page. Here's where we're actually clicking on it. Sorry, right here, we're clicking on that object and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to log in. We click on the login button, a login box, type in some text. That's done right here. These objects you see here are referencing items in the object tree over there. And of course, we can also do data-driven testing. So here we have a data map where we're actually looping through this set of steps over this 3 different example data sets. So you can do data-driven testing internally to Rapise, or you can use it with Spira. So just to show you how I created this and how easy it is, I'm going over here to my sample application, and I'm going to record a test. And after this, I'm going to then take time for questions. So let's go ahead and record a test. So I'm going to create a new test. So I'm connected to Spira. I can save it locally as well. Put in the regression folder. We'll create a new test case. We'll call it webinar web test 1. We're going to create web. We could also do mobile, desktop, or manual. Let's do web. I'm going to use actually Firefox, because that's what I'm using today, but it could be any of the other browsers. I'm using my scriptless language. And there we go, I'm good. Now I'm going to record. And on the right-hand side, it'll pop up. You'll see the recorder. It's right here. Now we are using Zoom, so hopefully that won't interfere with it. Let's log in. There we go. clicked on login. I'm going to log in with librarian, and the password is librarian. And as I do that, you'll see it capturing my actions. I'm going to verify logged in, so I'm going to use this verify option. So let me verify logged in. And going to then create a book. I'm going to verify the book was created over here. Oh, sorry. Let me first create the book. I'll create a sample book. Insert. It's created the book. Now I'm going to verify the book. So I do that now. Verify the book's created. There we go. And now I'll log out. And then I hit finish. So I've created a book. I've actually logged in, verified I logged in, created a book, verified the book was created, and then logged out. That's all I did. So it's again a simple flow. But an example of what you might do, hit append, and there you go. That's my script. Simple as that. I also note that I did have a few clicks. When you're recording, sometimes you click on things. You can delete them in the recording, or you can pause recording. Like if something pops up in the middle, like an email, you can always pause recording. But if something's recorded that you didn't want, you can just go in here and say delete row. So it's easy to clean things up. Everything you interact with is basically an object on the page. And so, for example, if you want to know what's this login button, you can always find that button right here, open on the page, and then you can use something called Flash, and that will show you, oops, here on the page where it is. If it's not on the page, then it means you may need to relearn the object. So if something is no longer on the page, it means you might need to relearn the object. So that way, if your application changes, you can always in real time see if the object is still there. And if it isn't, you can relearn it. Otherwise, you're good to go. And then to play it back, I'll just hit the play, and it will play it back for us. And I'm not touching the keyboard. It's doing it for me. Now, one of the things about automated testing, unfortunately, is you have to sometimes train your antivirus. I installed a new version of Rapise. So sometimes antiviruses don't like things because automated testing is doing things that can sometimes look like a virus. So just bear in mind that in real automation, when you're using it for the first time, you'll need to let your antivirus see what it's doing. And then, as you saw in this case, confirm that it's okay. So just that's unfortunately the reality of test automation in this age, that it sometimes can trigger false positives. Okay, so that ran, it passed, no problem. If I ran this with Spira, it would have uploaded the results like the one I showed you earlier, and you can include screenshots. Now, there's a lot more functionality. Unfortunately, we only have a few minutes left of the runtime of this webinar, and I do want to get to questions. So again, if you're interested in Rapise and want to learn more about it, we do have recorded videos on our YouTube channel, and we can have one of our automation team, pre-sales engineers, set up a demo for you and your team. Let me just go to the final takeaways then. So first of all, thanks for watching today's demo of Spira and Rapise. They were very small demos, and listening to the presentation. Key features to take away: SpiraPlan, SpiraTeam, and SpiraTest have features and functions that really contain everything that the ALM can do, and so much more. If you're looking at an ALM tool and you need requirements tests, defect management, you also need planning tools, you need tools to help your developers. SpiraTeam and SpiraPlan are great alternatives that are much easier to use, much more modern, and we have easy migration paths. If you're using test automation, Rapise is a great alternative to UFT. And then from a load testing standpoint, we have integration now with both JMeter and also with Octoperf, which is a much easier to use way of JMeter to do load testing. So if you've tried JMeter and you've gone, oh my goodness, it's too complicated, look at Octoperf. It's a really great automation tool for load testing, integrates seamlessly with Spira, and with that plus Rapise for Spira, you've got a full QA solution. And the last thing I'd like to mention is, we do want to make it easy for you to migrate away. So if you have a test project you want to migrate with, it's easy enough. You can sign up online for a trial of both Spira, Rapise, and Octoperf. You can use our migration tool for Spira. Just take a small project from ALM, migrate it into a trial version, and you'll see it in SpiraTeam or SpiraPlan in like 5 minutes. So that way you can actually try this out yourself and see how it works for you. And again, Rapise, sign up for a trial. Try one of your applications out. If you have any questions on either product, our pre-sales team is here to help you out. And with that, thanks for watching today. I appreciate you joining this webinar. We will put a copy on our YouTube channel. If you're interested, there are other great videos on there as well, including videos on the new functionality of our tools coming out, new features in both Rapise and Spira, and a bunch of other videos that we have of different use cases, different industries. So please, hope to see you online. Thanks again for watching.